Welcome to the Unlist, guys. Today's topic is going to be a bit inflammatory, a bit controversial, depending on your perspective on the concept of luxury. So I'm not going to excuse or seek apology for what I have to say, because honestly, it is what it is. And I'm also not trying to be political or woke or anything like that, because it's perfume, guys. It's not human rights. It's not housing or healthcare or anything important like that. It's just smelly water in a bottle. And there are a lot of people in this world who can't even fathom spending money on a perfume of any kind, whether it's a can of Axe in Walmart. That's where they are in life. So for those of us who could afford to even have a collection of perfume, we are very privileged, and we should realize that. However, that being said, not being someone living in a glass house throwing stones, not complaining about prices on luxury goods that we don't need, okay, not a hypocrite, I will say that there is such a thing as a hustle. There is a swindle. And with a lot of luxury themed items, which seems redundant in an already luxury market, when you take something that's already a luxury, like perfume, and you call it luxury perfume, that's kind of like saying wet water, isn't it? Right? Dirty earth. Okay? That's what it is. Meaty beef. Just seems a bit redundant there. So, yeah, we need to talk about that. Point of the video, the luxury hustle. When you call something luxury, you're giving yourself carte blanche to rip people off. People who generally have enough money to not care they're being ripped off, right? Granted. But see, that brings me to my first point. A lot of people in the online fragrance community are not multimillionaires or billionaires. They are not oligarch spawn. They are not tech CEO kids, trust fund babies going to Harvard or whatever, driving brand new Jags and such, living in $10 million gated homes, whatever, with private security roaming the grounds. They are not living that Mr. Deeds lifestyle, okay? A lot of us, yeah, some of us have considerable wealth. Some of us are probably six-figure guys, you know, maybe even low millionaires for some of you on the higher end of things, but still not at the point in life where we can just take a $1,500 L to the forehead, right? And run out and buy a bottle of Spirit of Dubai or one of the highest end Rajadov, part of the exclusive collection like the Agalev, stuff like that, and take that massive L. We're not at that point where we can do that. A lot of us still have to consider value proposition, right? Even if we are able to occasionally buy a retail bottle of Creed or a retail bottle of whatever at that particular market level, we still have to analyze value proposition. It's still important. We just can't wipe our butt with a wad of hundreds. We're not there, okay? Point of this video, if you're like most of us that collect and review and enjoy fragrances, you're still concerned about value. Well, the kind of buyer that these brands want, that Bond number 9 wants, Fragrance Dubois wants, again, Rajadov, Royal Crown, Spirit of Dubai, all these super high-end brands that charge hundreds of dollars. To some extent, also Frederick Malle. Frederick Malle has some $1,000 fragrances too for certain collections, okay? They don't expect their target buyer to even notice it. Like the whole idea of money could fall out of their back pocket as they're walking and they never even feel it, because the interest on their investments recoups so fast that they can't possibly lose money unless someone hacks their stuff and takes it all, right? They just can't lose it. So that's the kind of buyer who wants to buy these fragrances according to the brands themselves. The captains of industry, as Creed calls them, okay? People who put it on a black card, right? A limitless, bottomless pit, a black hole of economic status, right? Endless credit card, the black card. Look it up if you don't believe me. They exist. So that's the kind of person these brands want. And most of you out there are not that person. Even if you have $1 million house, even if you are in the upper echelons of Amazon or Google, even if you are a well-practiced lawyer, a doctor, you are an investor, a real estate agent, something like that, you drive a brand new Volvo X90, or you've got a Porsche Taycan in the driveway, or a Tesla Model S, you are still not at the level where you can just be like this and not care, right? Right. So this video will be of some value to you. So the biggest thing about the luxury hustle is it is a perfect example of something that's very common knowledge among a lot of economists and people who buy into luxury goods to begin with. It's called the law of diminishing returns. I'm going to start us off with that. All right. Now, the law of diminishing returns dictates that price and quality can only rise at a certain point before the price crosses a certain threshold with the quality and then starts to outpace the quality. So the best way to describe this for someone who's not good with, grasping words coming out of the mouth, I don't have graphics, I don't have video production values, right? So just imagine there's a graph here. Now, you've got an X and Y axis, right? Now you're drawing a parabolic curve along the X and Y axis. So as kids, we would draw points along X and Y and then go longest point, first point, next longest point, next point. We would keep doing that until a parabolic curve forms. So just imagine that curve is there. And then at the same point on the furthest end of that horizontal axis, draw a straight line that climbs at a steady amount right across. So the point where that parabolic curve intersects with that straight line, that is the most quality for price you can get. You can't do better. So all the people out there who convince themselves that these brands are the best there is, oh yeah, you can't do better, Fragrance Du Bois, Rajadov, Bond Number 9, whatever, Spirit Dubai, this is, you get what you pay for, man, and this is the good stuff, right? Well, I'm not going to try and burst your bubble too much because everyone's entitled to their opinion, but objectively, factually, scientifically, you're wrong, but you're still allowed to have the opinion that you're not wrong. I will let you think that these are better, but scientifically, they're not better. And it's because of that law of diminishing returns. They are far above the point where those two lines intersect. Now, I am not Neil deGrasse Tyson. I am not Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm not going to tell you exactly where that line is. It always moves with the state of the economy, the value of the currency in the country you live in, the exchange rate, all that stuff plays a factor. That point slides up and down all the time. So where it is, $150, $200, I don't know. Maybe it's $300, I don't know. But there is a point where the quality doesn't keep pace anymore with the increase in price. And that is the point where you start getting hustled. That's where the luxury hustle comes from, the swindle, because they cannot give you more for your money than they already do. So all they can do is just take more of your money and give you some trickery to try and convince you that you're still getting what you pay for, right? That you're getting the most optimum perfume experience, the optimum quality, the optimum style, the optimum performance, whatever it is. You've already passed optimization. Now you're just increasing in price, and the negligible increase. There's even a point where you physically can't get better. Materials, you can use the most expensive materials available at these oil houses. Varanis, Givaudan, Simrise, all these guys, okay? CPL in UK, Takasago in Japan, whatever. You can get the most expensive materials these firms have available. And you can even privately procure your own naturals, your own oud oils, your own sandalwood. You can max out the material cost. But once you're there, you can't go higher than that. And the price can continue to climb. Yeah, you can bank on rarity. Well, I have sandalwood oil from 1925 or something, right? Or I have oud chips that were distilled in oil in the late 19th century. That's rarity, right? That's rarity, but that's not really objective quality anymore, okay? You can't, It's not a scientifically, it's not a higher quality. It's just older and harder to come by. You can subjectively prefer it. You can, say it smells better to you, that it being older plays a factor in it smelling better. Sure, old sandalwood oils can smell better than new ones can, depending on what you're looking for in your sandalwood oils. Depending on what kind of profile you want in your oils, you can prefer an older one for one reason or another. But my point is, you've already hit that threshold. You can't get better for your money. So they start to swindle you. They start to hustle you to justify why the leap from $400 to $800 is so much better. You've already leapt from $100, $120, $150 to $200. Now you're leaping to $400. Now they're going to take you up to $800, or you're going to $1,000 with Spirit of Dubai, $1,500. You're in that high-end Rajadov collection where you're getting stuff like Diaghilev, all those really super high-end ones that are up there, boutique-only stuff. Frederick Mall, the Night, for instance, up there has real oud in it, supposedly. So you're in that uppity, but you're still not matching the parity anymore. You crossed the line. So that's the big takeaway. Now we are almost 12 minutes in. So let's finish out the rest of this video with ways in which they hustle you. Since now I've made my point that you can't do better past a certain level of luxury. You can't physically do better. It's not possible. So how do they convince you otherwise? Well, obviously, they've got enough money to hire marketing people, gurus, mood boarders, and stuff. So they're rather good at this. And the biggest, most obvious way they hit you is with packaging. They give you the heavy glass bottles. They give you the brass plates. They give you the Swarovski crystals and the brass caps. Or if you go up to the Dubai, it's the gold-plated caps, which is, there's honestly, you start putting actual jewelry on your perfume bottles, you put actual gold, actual rubies, sapphires, diamonds on your perfume, then it is no longer perfume you're paying for, my friend. Okay, if you have actual bling on your perfume bottle, you are no longer paying for perfume. You are buying jewelry that holds perfume. Okay, let that sink in. You're paying for jewelry that holds perfume. That'd be like if they gave you a Rolex watch that had a sprayer on the side. So you've got your Rolex on your $60,000 Rolex watch that's got a little tiny bit of fragrance you can on your wrist with it, right? That's where you are if you have actual gold, actual gems on your perfume bottle. Most of the time it's not. It's the crystals, it's brass, polished brass. Okay, heavy glass, etched glass. That's expensive. Okay, that's expensive. But it's not $800 expensive. It's not $1,000 expensive. Again, it's just a way to try and convince you that you're getting something on a level above, far above, that you're getting what you pay for, and you're not. Then it's with the box, too. You get the balsa wood boxes. You get the leather-wrapped boxes. Again, high-quality leather is really expensive. You're wrapping your box in real Alcantara or something. Again, you're not paying for the perfume anymore. You're paying for that leather on that box, which makes it even more hilarious, right? Because you open the box with the Alcantara leather on it, the balsa wood construction. You've got the silk. The bottle is sitting in a little imprint that's shaped like the bottle, and it's silk. All of that right there is more expensive than the perfume, okay? You've already outpaced the perfume 4 or 5 times over again. And the irony is you throw that stuff away because you're a collector, okay? You've got a wall of fragrances, you've got a vanity, you've got a curio cabinet, you've got a shelf system. The bottle comes out of the box, and the bottle sits on your shelf. Then you make your YouTube videos, and you're like, like that with the bottle in the background. The bottle's back here, you're like, okay? So Where's the silk at? Where's the Alcantara leather at? Where's the balsa wood box with all the brass rivets? Where's that at? I'll tell you where it is. It's in the closet. It's in the attic. It's in the basement. It's out in the shed somewhere. So you spent $1,500 on that expensive bottle, and 3/4 of that is now sitting in your shed, is now sitting in your garage, is now getting moldy down in your basement, because you're not going to display your bottle in that box and have to open that box every single time you want to pull your perfume out, you know, unless you're the kind of guy that only has one fragrance or two, and you just sit them on like your dresser. You get your two fancy coffret boxes that open like this. They crack open like a alien egg, but instead of a face hugger leaping out, it's a bottle of perfume. Okay, if you're going to have that presentation, then cool. Maybe you'll get your money out of it. Maybe you'll get some value in that. But otherwise, if you're a collector, if you're an enthusiast, it's going in the closet. It's going in the basement. It's going in the garage, where it's going to get moldy, dirty, nasty, and there goes all your money because it's not in the fragrance, okay? Now, the other way they get you, this is hilarious to me, is they also get you with the quality and expense of materials, the concentration. It's so expensive because it's concentrated. That right there is the biggest lie of all. Saying it's so much more expensive because it's so much more concentrated, that is the biggest lie of all, because all they're doing is putting in less alcohol. Since they're using the same compounders and the same oil houses that everyone else uses, okay? So I'm trying to think of who Rajadav uses. I can't think of the particular house he uses, but all of his fragrances go through this one house, okay? So, but the compounders are doing it all with machines. The fragrance has already been written, whether it's Dove writing the fragrance or whoever the perfumer is. If we're talking another super high-end brand, Frederick Malle, but he usually curates. He's director and the perfumers sit below him. Whoever's finishing out that formula, they're sending it off. It's all done with machines. There is no extra cost to make it more concentrated, especially considering that even the most expensive commercially made fragrances are a couple of dollars at most, okay? You're going to get $5 of oil, $10 of oil or something in a bottle that costs $500. Usually it's around a couple bucks, you know. Your typical designer, your typical product on that level, it's between like $1.50 and $300 at the high end. $3 rather. It's like $1.50 or $3 at the high end for the oil. The rest is all just profit, markup, packaging, everything else. So you can push that envelope really high, like $5, or go really nuts and make it $10. But that's before the alcohol goes in. That's just the oil. That's just the oil. So it costs them nothing to give you less alcohol, especially when the bottles are measured for that. So that's why you're only going to get a 50 ml bottle and not a 100 ml bottle. So it's more concentrated. It has less alcohol in it, but you're also getting much less. It's not like they're giving you a full 100 ml bottle that's full of extrait, Parfum extrait. You're just getting a 30 ml, a 50 ml, whatever. Okay, so that whole thing about it's concentrated, that's why it costs so much, that's BS, okay? Because it costs very little extra to nothing to just put in less alcohol, to suck some of the alcohol out. And a lot of times those fragrances are also made to be that concentration. That formula is actually compounded to exist at that strength. They know it's going to be only, it's going to be 30% oil versus alcohol. It's going to sit at that level. It's composed that way by the perfumer. They don't just go, it's an eau de toilette, but surprise, we're going to cut the alcohol in half, and now it's a parfum because it's expensive and we love you. Not how the game is played, my friend, not how it works. And then last but not least, before I wrap this up, the final way, and perhaps the most devious way of all that they get you, is with the whole claim of artistry and originality. Oh, our fragrances are so artistic. That's why they're so expensive. We give the perfumer all the time in the world and all the creative freedom to make it as lovely and beautiful and mind-blowing as they possibly can. Well, riddle me this, Batman. If you're giving your perfumers total creative freedom, why are they coming up with copies of Creed Aventus? Why are they coming up with copies of Baccarat Rouge 540? Why are they coming up with copies of Parfum de Marly de Lina? Why does one of the fragrances smell like an upmarket attempt at doing Terre de Hermes or Tuscan leather? Okay, or any number of popular designer or more entry level, I hate to say it, niche brands, you know, Leighton, okay? If these perfumers have so much creative control and so much time to make their artistic masterpieces, why does half your line smell like Nordstrom? Why does half your line smell like you walked into a Macy's? Okay? Riddle me this, riddle me that. Okay, someone is lying here. Now, there are some exceptions to that, of course, if you're familiar with brands like Editions des Parfums, Frederic Malle. He does tend to give his perfumers a bit more creative freedom. He's still the creative director. He still writes the brief. He still leans over their shoulder and goes, I like this one. I don't like that one. Do a little something different here. He's still the editor-in-chief, okay? He is the J. Jonah Jameson of his brand, trying to sully the name of Spider-Man. We've got to get Spider-Man. He's got to show the world what he really is, and we'll do it through our perfume, right? So they have more freedom, though. They have more wiggle room. But it's still not 100% individuality, because we've already been over this, guys. If you want that kind of creative freedom in today's modern market, you've got to launch your own brand. You've got to start your own house. You got to do what Alberto Morillas did and launch Meisensier and do it all by yourself, okay? It's what you got to do. Or you got to be an independent perfumer like Raymond Monegal. He left Marugia and he formed his own house, you know? You've got to go that route. That's what you got to do. You can't be a part of another brand and have full creative freedom. You can have more wiggle room, you know, like my recent video about Les Abstraits. You know, you had Eugen, who was the mind behind the fragrances, and Antoine Lee got to interpret them in a way that he saw fit. He wasn't micromanaged by anybody. Eugen wasn't like on top of them like this. But if a perfumer wants to make a perfume entirely on their own accord, entirely of their own design, they have to release it themselves. So when these luxury brands try to tell you that their perfumes are the most artistic and the most original and all this other stuff, and that's what you're paying for, that is also a big fat lie. Whether or not they are BR540 clones or Aventus clones or whatever, it's just really hilarious to me when you look at a perfume brand like Bodacia the Victorious, okay, and other ones like By Kilian, another culprit, and you see the same raspberry, rose, chocolate, oud BS that every other brand is doing. They're all doing the same thing, and they're all claiming originality, and they're all claiming utmost artistry and unparalleled, unsurpassed, and it's all just a big hustle. Like I said, big hustle, and if you have enough money to not care, be my guest, but if you don't, like most of us, need to know what you're up against. This has been The Unlist. Thanks for watching.